Hello and welcome back to your session with Sharnee. Oh my god, trying to film this intro with a dog has been a nightmare. She just keeps barking at the window but nothing's there. I'm currently at my auntie's and I'm looking after her dog for her. I've been here for a week, I'm here for another week, and then actually a week today I'm moving to my own place, which I'm so excited about. I really need it because I'm feeling a little bit, it's so weird, like I feel really inspired, like my new journey, but I'm also feeling uninspired. Like when I come to usually sit and film these, I've usually got a script out and I've tried to write like 3 different scripts on 3 different topics and none of them were coming to me. And I always want it to be like impactful, so I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. But also, I am a perfectionist or recovering perfectionist, so I always want it to be perfect before I put it out, and I'm really trying to get out of that and be like, you know what, Sean, you can't think of a script, but we can sit down and we can just chat. We know what we want to speak about, and hopefully this all makes sense because I do have a habit of rambling, so please bear with me. But today we are going to be talking about boundaries, how to set them, how to say no to people, how to not feel bad about saying no to people, because I think that's actually worse than the saying no. It's the feeling that you're going to feel afterwards. And I have always had a problem with this. I was a very, very big people pleaser. And the thing when you're healing and the thing when you're doing work on the inside, you have to practice it like every single day, because I am currently setting up a 90-day program for my clients, but I'm taking myself through the 90-day program so I can make sure that it really works. And I'm really noticing, like, whoa, Charm, you've really slipped back into some of your old habits where you're not being honest with yourself and not enough, and you're not saying no enough. You're kind of really just taking on jobs when you don't really want to take them on. So it's been really good for me to like reel that back, which is why I want to speak about it today, because I feel like it's all very at the front of my mind, because I really need to work on this again. And that's not saying like I'm full back to a people pleaser. I'm really nowhere near what I was this time last year. But yeah, sometimes you just slip back into it. So let's talk about it and talk about where it could be coming from. And I'm going to speak on my experience. And I think if there's anything that I want to get through to people on in these sessions, it's that people pleasing or not saying no to people or not setting boundaries is really just the first layer. You need to go all the way down before you find out where that's really coming from. And if you're not prepared to be confronted with horrible feelings, potentially about yourself, then it probably means you're not really ready to go on the journey. I think there's a reason why people who are coaches or people who are self-improvement YouTubers or podcasters or in the self-improvement industry sound like spiritual or whoopsie doozy, I am so deep into myself, is because we've had to confront a lot of things and we've had to be very self-aware. And it's actually astounding how many people aren't in today's society. And I mean, what do we expect? We don't ever get off our phone, and I've been awful for it at the moment. We don't ever get off our phone. If we can be watching the telly and be on the phone at the same time. We're listening to stuff to go to sleep. Like, think about it. When is there a time that we're ever alone with just us and our thoughts? And half of that is because people don't want to sit with their thoughts, because their thoughts are usually not good. Their thoughts are usually scary and their thoughts are usually confronting. And I think this has snowballed to the point now where people can just lie to themselves and live kind of outside of their body, away from their thoughts, like completely detached. And yeah, that's great if you're able to lie to yourself and you're able to just continue your life like that. But I guarantee the thoughts that you would be confronting are probably very deep, and you would love to get rid of them so that you wouldn't have to detach yourself so much. I'm very much take the bull by the horn and just confront the feelings, and I just don't think enough people are like that nowadays. Especially in our age range, in late 20s to 30s. I feel like everybody really wants to learn about themselves though, but they're just not capable because they don't want to confront what could come up if they really went inside and did the work. And when I went inside and I did the work about people pleasing and saying no, like, it was painful. A lot of it came from feeling like I'm the only girl in my mum and dad had the only daughter, and I just felt like they wanted a different daughter. Like, they wanted a daughter that probably wasn't so loud and dramatic and cried a lot and felt feelings very intensely. And maybe because it was confronting for them, and maybe they just didn't know how to deal with emotions very well, and I was like everything that they just don't like, like just loads of emotion. And I think that's where it started from when I was younger, and that was obviously really painful to go through, to know that when you was younger you felt like your mum and dad kind of wanted a different daughter, and probably didn't like your personality that much. And then outside of home, I would have the same thing with other people. Like, I was very confrontational because I was passionate, though. I was passionate from like a young age. I was really passionate, and I've always been loud, and I've always been bossy, and I've always been self-assured. And these are the kind of things that it felt like people didn't like about me. And when they are my personality traits, they are what makes me me. It felt like, oh, I'm gonna have to just be somebody else, because I've always known one will like me. Like, I was constantly told I was a drama queen, and I was constantly told I was confrontational, and those things that stick with you. I had a falling out with one of my closest friends not too long ago, and you know what she said to me? She said she couldn't come and tell me what she was going through because she knows what I'm like, and she knows I'd have a go at her. And when I have not been confrontational, which a point I'll get onto next. I have not been confrontational since I was probably left university, say 22, 23, when I started to be like, right, Sean, people obviously really don't like this part of you. You need to stop it. And when you've worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked to take away those traits that are in yourself because nobody else likes it, and then they still have this narrative of you, it's like, what can I do? What can I do? Like, and that's what comes out in a lot of stuff. Like, there is nothing you can do but be you. There is nothing I could do. I wanted to be the most perfect person, most perfect friend, the most perfect girlfriend, the most perfect daughter. And oh, oh, but that didn't stop my dad telling me that no one was going to love me in the future. No man would ever love me. And that hasn't stopped my friends not being there. I've lost university friends. I've lost one of my best friends not long ago. That me trying to be the perfect friend and just having a heart condition and someone not being there for me, and then any way that I express myself would be like, well, that's Sean, isn't it? She's just confrontational. She still wasn't there for me, and I tried all the time to be the perfect friend, and being the perfect girlfriend, I still got dumped. So when you're journaling, yes, it's confronting, but what's liberating is that, like, yeah, this is it. Like, the abandonment, rejection is a part of life, but I can't do anything about it because I'm just me. And that's liberating, because if you can start to be like, right, this is just me, how about instead of trying to be perfect for everybody else, I'll just try and find out who the fuck I am. Like, simple, like, who am I? And now that I've been doing this journaling, and I'm really seeing why I was such a people pleaser, I feel sad for myself, because being confrontational is something I need in my business. Like, it's really something that I need, is to be able to speak up. And because I've suppressed it so much, because nobody liked that part of me, now I'm too scared to ask for anything. I'm too scared to stand up for anything, because everyone told me I was confrontational. So I was like, don't worry, I won't be confrontational anymore, then everybody will love me. People still left me, and now that trait's gone, and I need it for my business. Being self-assured, like, oh my God, if that was nurtured when I was younger, like, that would be a superpower, and it's something I'm now having to refine, but something that I had in my DNA. Like, these are all things that people told me, and sorry, but being really sensitive, like, I always feel my feelings very strongly. When I'm angry, I am angry, and when I'm happy, like, I'm buzzing, like, I will cry all the time from being happy. And when I'm sad, like, the world feels like it's ending. And everybody and my family made me feel a bit shit for being like that. And again, at 31, I'm like, oh, how cool is it that I feel so deeply for people? How amazing is it that I love my friends and my family with the deepest love, that I don't think everybody gets to experience. Like, how great is it that I get to go on holiday and experience something amazing and just cry from happiness? Like, those feelings are insane. And yes, of course, like, I have been through some bad stuff in the last 6 months, and my intense sadness emotions was horrible, but I would take them any day if I could still feel everything great that was deep. And again, like, when I cry easily, I was literally just told I was a drama queen, and I wasn't a drama queen. I just feel things really intensely. I still do as an adult, and I'm glad that I haven't managed to suppress that out of me too much. Yeah, sorry, that was a lot, but that is basically what came out when I was journaling. And so the main thing was like, no matter what I do, no matter how perfect I've tried to be, it hasn't worked. So let's stop trying to be perfect and let's freaking do what I want to do. Like, you can take on every single job in the world so that your mum and dad are proud of you because you're constantly working. And you can go to every event so that not one of your friends is disappointed, and they all think you can have a business and this massive social life, and you can juggle all your friends and, trying to make everybody else proud. But when do I get a look in? When I'm burnt out and I'm tired because I'm only doing these jobs to make everybody else proud and to show how successful I am, because I don't want to disappoint anybody or anyone to think bad of me. Like, it's ridiculous, and all that is what's built up. If you can't tell, freak, it is built up still now. um, to cause me being a people pleaser, and to not saying no when I want to say no. And like, it's definitely still a journey. I got myself in a very big stress last month because my grandparents wanted me to go out and see them, and they live abroad, and I just didn't have the time. I didn't want to spend the money because I was moving into my new place, and I didn't want to be away from work for those 7 days, but I just didn't say no. And you know what come out of it was so much stress. If anybody's watching that's my friend, I was crying so much. I have a heart condition, which obviously I haven't got into, but it sent my heart wild. And in turn, you know what it is as well. Sorry, this is like an actual therapy session for me, but obviously I needed it. You know what it is as well is that it was such a snowball effect for me because I was so annoyed that I hadn't said no. Because I knew that's what the problem was. Just wish I would have said no to my grandparents. That was the dog. I just wish I would have said no to my grandparents, and because I didn't, it snowballed to the point where I didn't want to speak to anybody, because then my heart was bad, and then people were giving me unsolicited advice about my heart, which was making me even more angry and annoyed. And then I was getting into arguments and bickering with my friends because I felt really lonely and misunderstood, and all of it just stemmed because I didn't say no. And I think it affected me even more so because I say no a lot more than I used to, and I'm not a people pleaser in the same way. So I think I was angry at myself because I was like, you should have said no to that ages ago and you didn't. And this is what happens when you don't say no. This is what happens when you don't say no. You feel like you've abandoned yourself. I felt like, God, Sean, you've let yourself down, which is actually pretty cool that I think like that now and that I can spot it. But yeah, my session with Sharnee, not yours. I swear. But yeah, that's in a nutshell how I came to realise why I was a people pleaser and why I couldn't say no to people. And I would just I want you to go and journal and ask yourself this question: how am I abandoning myself? How could I say no to more people? How do I feel when I say yes? What have I said yes to that I haven't wanted to say yes to in the last week? Write them all down, compile lists. And honestly, like, journaling doesn't need to be really cute and poetic and pages or a paragraph. It's just what you can write down. Like, again, it's confronting, so I feel that's why a lot of people don't do it, especially doing it the way that I do it, which is just writing as the thoughts come out. Even if it's not coherent, I just write as the thoughts go out, and that's how I get to the bottom of where my stuff is coming from. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to get to the root of some of the problems, and just ask yourself those questions. And if you're still struggling, then ask yourself why. So you can be like, what, where have I said yes to something that I didn't want to say yes to this week? And I would be like, I said yes to going to visit my granddad and my nan abroad, and then I can be like, why did I say yes? And it's because my grandparents are older, and I feel bad that I'm one of the only grandchildren that go out, and I feel like it was kind of like my job. And I'd be like, why? And I'd be like, because I don't want to disappoint people, because I want to be the perfect grandchild, I suppose. God, this is crazy. I should probably write a script next time, because I'm going to write therapy session. But yeah, that's how the journaling work. And then when I discovered all of this, it was like a daily thing that I had to do. Like every morning I had to wake up and be like, Sean, you're going to be honest about your feelings today. No matter if you're at work, no matter if you're talking to your mum, no matter if you're talking to your friends, you're going to say what's on your mind if it's honest and it's not going to hurt other people. Like, there's no need to be like, honey, I think you look like a tramp in that dress. Like, that's not what I'm on about. I'm saying, like, if you're like, I don't want to do that, or I don't really agree, or just whatever you're thinking, basically, if you can just be honest with yourself for one day, just take it one day at a time. Every morning, I'm going to be honest with how I'm feeling. I'm going to be really honest. And that's all I can do. And all you have to do is say the words. Like, it's scary, but the quicker you say the words, the quicker the quicker that thought will be gone, because you've said it. Instead of sitting there and thinking, I just want to say this, I just wish I said no, I don't want to go to this, I don't want to go to this. Just say it. Just say it and take it one day at a time, because usually one day you might only have one thing to say no to. Sometimes you might have loads to say no to. Sometimes it'll be something big, sometimes it'll be something small. It will always be different, and sometimes it'll be hard and sometimes it'll be easy. But if you just promise every single day that you're going to do it, and that's what I am doing in my 90-day program, and that is what I am doing again myself, then the change that you see is incredible. Actually, it's actually really incredible, because like I said, a year ago, the fact that I had intense emotions, I would never have said that. Like, how great is that? But I'm coming into my own now, and I know that I'm putting myself above everybody. And although I've stayed off it a little bit, the most part, I'm putting myself above everybody. And like I said, people have left my life regardless of how good a person I tried to be. So they may leave when you start being honest, which means they were never supposed to be in your life anyway. And I know that's hard to come by. I know that's hard. But it doesn't always have to be that dramatic. Like, I'm in a friendship group where I felt like I was going to be out of that group because I couldn't physically keep up with going to the social event. No, it weren't even that, that's a lie. It was that I constantly felt like I wasn't going to stuff because of work. And then if it was something that I could do, I would go even though I wasn't in a good place. I usually come out feeling worse. All those feelings were like exacerbated because they're talking about stuff that they did last time they saw each other, and I didn't go because I'd work, and I was only going to desperately try and like please everybody else and be like, no, look, I'm still a good friend. And then I decided after my heart, I can't do it. If they want me there, I'll be there. If they want me there, they'll accept the times that I can go. They'll accept that I can't always be at everything, and they'll accept that maybe our friendship isn't as close as it was before. Doesn't mean it has to be out of my life. Just means our friendship's a little bit different. And I think people think saying no means, right, everyone's out. Everyone's out. My mum's gone. Best friend's gone. I've lost everybody, and that's just not the case. It's just a difference. It's just a different relationship now. And when you start doing that and you start creating a better relationship with yourself, the ones that are staying, you just get closer with. The ones that are on this same path as you just get closer with. And you can't put a price on the close connections that you can have when you're really doing the inner work on yourself and you're really feeling good and love towards yourself so that you can give it more to other people. That there is no price that you can put on that. There is no journal too confronting or thought too bad that would put a price on feeling like you've done yourself not a disservice, a service. You've done something good for yourself and you've put yourself first. And I said this in a TikTok video, but if you don't abandon yourself, no one can abandon you. And that's something that I really learned in my breakup. I felt so abandoned, and I'll get into a video about this time in my life, but I felt so abandoned. I felt like I'd done everything. I couldn't have people pleased more. And I felt so abandoned. And luckily for me, because of the way that I journal, I was able to come to the realisation that like I had just been abandoning myself all the time. I had just been abandoning myself to be this flipping robot AI, perfect girlfriend, perfect friend, perfect daughter, not even barely a human being at this point because I was people pleasing that much. And once I stopped and realised this and started saying no and starting cancelling things that I didn't want to go to, or even just like little things like setting boundaries. When I feel upset, I've messaged my friends and be like, listen, sometimes when I'm upset, I don't want advice, I just want to rant. I know the advice, I'm a smart enough girl, I know whatever you're about to say, I know that is probably the solution, it's just not what I want right now, I just want to cry. And all of that kind of stuff, yeah, just means like, who's abandoning me now? Because I don't abandon myself, so it's just a different vibe when you're honest. God, I hope all of that made sense. Did all of that make sense? I know, I feel really exposed, but it's fine. It's fine. I obviously needed it. But yeah, I really hope that made some sort of sense. If I should break it down, I'll really quickly break it down. You need to journal. You need to be erratic with your journaling. Just get everything down. Don't matter if it's not coherent. Don't matter if it sounds crazy. No one's reading it. No one is reading your journal, okay? So just go fucking crazy. And honestly, like, I wish I could read some, but it's so erratic. I'll find it hard to freaking work my way through in my own journal because it's that erratic, but it gets the job done. So do that. When you've got all these questions and when you've got all these answers about how you're abandoning yourself, like where you should have said no in the last week and how it makes you feel when you say yes to something that you didn't really want to do, once you've got all that down and asked why, hopefully you'll also get an ending and an answer like I did. If you do, then you can start actioning all of the stuff that makes you feel sad when you say yes to, and you can start saying no to them by every day just waking up and saying, right, I'm just going to be honest. From today, I'm just going to be honest, and if I don't want to do something, I won't do it and I'll say no. And if I need to express something about myself, I'll just express it. And instead of sitting with the thought for hours and hours, I'll just send the text. Or I promise that when I go to the meeting, I will say what I think, even if it's scary, I will just say it. And make a promise to yourself, because that's also something that's really good for like building trust with yourself, is making a promise to yourself and actually doing the promise. Because if you're constantly breaking promises to yourself, you've got no trust in yourself. If you find it hard to do this kind of stuff, it's probably because you've got no trust in yourself. Like, if you know you're promising you'll break it, you need to work on trust. So make the promise to yourself that you'll be honest. And then let me know how it feels to not be so much of a people pleaser. Rome wasn't built in a day. I definitely still struggle. Definitely still struggle, but doing all of this kind of work and not doing these sessions always reminds me, like, you've got to continue the work. And I hope that's something that you guys understand as well. It's not built in a day, but my God, is my life so much different to what it was 6 months ago, and I'm so grateful that everything happened and that I managed to come to all of these realisations. And I will actually tell those stories in another session. But until then, make sure you're following me on TikTok, on Instagram, on Spotify, on YouTube, anywhere that you're watching me or want to see me. I'm going to start doing some TikTok lives where I can answer people's questions soon, and I'm actually doing quite a lot of content over there, so I'd really like the support. And I will see you next time for another session with Sharnee. Bye.